Hello friends, good evening. This is Mission Possible Bharat, a chartered accountant by profession, and we have been covering JIB, LRAB, and this is the module A of this particular subject, and this is the last chapter. After this, we will move on with negotiable instruments, which relates to the obligations of your paying and receiving banker. And now we will just complete this last portion of the last module of LRAB, and Unit 5, the name is Public Sector Banks and Cooperative Banks. This chapter is fairly very simple. It just tells us the roles and functions of the public sector banks, mainly your state bank, multi cooperative societies, cooperative banks, and regional rural banks. So we will just quickly get started. So the first thing that we need to know is establishment of state bank. State bank was founded under section 3. This is important, sometimes they can ask as a question, and the act is State Bank of India Act 1955, and it is the imperial bank undertaking and to carry on the banking and other operations. It is like the head bank of all the banks in India, and majority of the shares lies with the government of India. State Bank of India is a publicly traded company. It's listed on the stock exchanges, and no shareholder other than government of India can exercise voting rights above 10%. And there is a board which manages the functions of state bank, and the board consists of a chairman and managing directors, maximum 4 members, which are again appointed by the government of India, and other directors also exist. And the maximum tenure of the chairman and MD is 5 years. The business of the state bank: all the banking organizations, be it state bank or be it any other nationalized bank or be it any other bank, the obligations or the businesses of the banks are stated in section 5b of the Banking Regulation Act. This section is very very important. Wherever somewhere they ask you what is the business of the bank, it will be listed in 5b. 5b is nothing but what we have learned in our earlier chapters. It is nothing but collecting money for the purpose of lending, or even for the purpose of other activities like your demand draft check, which is your basic banking activities. Those are enlisted in your section 5b of the Banking Regulation Act. And coming to the point related to accounts and audit, every year the bank must close its books and balance sheet accounts on March 31st or any other date which the central government might specify, but it's always March 31st. There hasn't been any change, and this report has to be submitted by the auditor as well, and a report by the central board on the bank's operations has to be submitted within 3 months of the audit. And the audit may be conducted by any person duly qualified to be appointed as auditors. That means as per Companies Act, should be an auditor. Mostly it is a chartered accountant, and the auditors of the government banks are through empanelment. Few each year, or maybe for 2 years once, the auditor keeps on changing. So it's all done by the centralized procedure under the central government's supervision, and the audit report must be submitted within 3 months. This is very very important, which you need to keep in mind. And then subsidiary bank, there are a lot of subsidiary banks with state bank. However, now a lot of them have been merged, and there is no such special subsidiary as of now. The subsidiary bank was earlier, it was constituted under section 47, and also the share of the subsidiary banks are freely transferable as provided in section 18 of the act, which was earlier specified. And there are a lot of state bank acts like State Bank of Hyderabad Act, Saurashtra Ordinance. All other state banks of subsidiary acts come under 1959 Act. So these are about your subsidiary banks, not though very relevant, but the rules and regulations. The central government is empowered to make various rules under section 62 of the act for giving effect to the purpose. That means in order to regulate the business of the banking, it can form various rules and regulations. It is also empowered to make various regulations under section 63 with the approval of RBI. So the central government can make rules under section 62, and it can make regulations under 63. Regulations have to be done with the approval of the RBI. This is something which you need to keep in mind. Next, coming to regional rural banks. Regional rural banks are also public sector institutions. Basically, the name itself suggests they are based in rural places, or regionally based or rural oriented, and are engaged in commercial banking. They were first set up in 1975. And their act name is called as the RRB Act 1976. Initially it was called as Rural Banks Ordinance 1975. Later on it was replaced by the Regional Rural Bank Act 1976. Section 3 of the act authorizes the central government to establish the regional rural banks by notification in the official gazette. And the combination of how a rural bank is composed is mentioned here. Central government will own 50%, state government 50% and 15%, and sponsored banks are 35%. Sponsored banks are those banks which necessitate the origination of the RRB. That means they are the main factors for originating the regional rural bank. So that's why they get the more share than the state government share. So management of RRB is again done by a board of directors, and the chairman is appointed by the sponsor bank. This is important. They can ask you as a MCQ question. How is the chairman appointed? It's not by RBI, it's by the sponsor bank, and it is done in consultation with NABARD. 2 or more RRB can be amalgamated by the central government. And the business of rural bank, again, all the business of the banks are regulated by only one section, that is section 5b of the Banking Regulation Act, and section 5b is nothing but related to your loans, deposit, checks and drafts. And again, related to accounts, it should be closed on 31st March. The audit should be conducted by a chartered accountant as per the Companies Act, and the auditors must be appointed with the approval of central government. This is important. It should be appointed with the approval of the central government. Okay, next is nationalized banks. We know a lot of nationalized banks do exist, and now we will learn more about them. And the relevant act is the Bank Nationalization Act 1970 and the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertaking Act 1980. So these are the main two acts which related to your nationalized banks. They actually transferred the undertaking of existing private banks to the corresponding new banks called as nationalized banks. Now we will learn about the composition of the nationalized banks. The directors of nationalized banks are nominated by central government. This is very, very important. You should remember, they can ask you as an MCQ, or elected from the shareholders. They can either be appointed by they're nominated by the central government or elected from the shareholders. The nomination of directors or the composition is as under: not more than 4 whole-time directors, not more than 6 directors to be nominated by central government, 1 official director, 1 representing workmen, 1 director representing officers, 1 director possessing special expertise. So this is the composition. So this also can be asked as an MCQ question in the exam. Next is additional director. RBI can appoint an additional one or more, not just one. It can even appoint more additional directors on the board of a nationalized bank, and the maximum tenure for them is 3 years as specified in the Act. Accounts and audit. Again, the audit may be conducted by any person who is qualified to be an auditor as per the Companies Act 2013, and the section is 141. The auditor's appointment must be done with the approval of central government. This is also something which you need to keep in mind. Most of the government banks or nationalized banks, the appointment is done with the approval of the central government, because the auditor's appointment is done through a process called as empanelment. That means each year chartered accountants try to apply for the bank's audit, and every one of them get a particular bank's audit. This procedure is called as empanelment, and it happens under entirely central government supervision. The auditor must make a report to the central government as per section 10A of the Act, and the auditor's report and report to be both to be laid before the parliament. This is one additional clause for your nationalized banks. So then the report has to be submitted before the parliament along with the submission to the central government. The management. In exercise of the powers under 9 of the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Regulation Act 1970 and section 9 of the Banking Companies Act 1980, the central government has framed 2 schemes. One is Nationalized Bank Management and Miscellaneous Provision 1970, and thereafter it was again superseded by Scheme 1980. So these 2 schemes, what they do is they tell about the management of the banks, how the banks should be run in terms of the government policies and regulations. Paid up capital. Originally, the paid up capital was held by the central government. Some of these banks have recently made public issue of shares, but the central government still holds majority of the shares in all the banks. Obviously, nationalized bank means the government will have majority of the shareholding. If the government doesn't have majority of the shareholding, it doesn't mean it is a nationalized bank, isn't it? Because the government should have at least more than 51% of shareholding to be called as a nationalized bank. And the shares other than those held by the central government are freely transferable. SBI Act divides capital into shares of 10 each instead of 100 as per the restriction on voting rights, and was modified up to 10% of the issued capital and restriction. So that is what we already learned now. 10% is the maximum voting rights, and the authorized capital of 1500 crores divided into shares of rupees 10 each. The per value of share is 10 each now. And the Banking Companies Acquisition and Transfer of Undertakings. All public sector banks are governed by the respective statutes. Statutes means the rules and regulations, and the rules or schemes made under these particular statutes. In addition to this, banks are also governed by the central provisions of the Banking Regulation Act. All the banks come under the supervision of your Banking Regulation Act as stipulated in 55 of that Act. Next is something coming to cooperative banks. Cooperative banks, as we already know, there are 2 multi-state cooperative, multi-state cooperative banks. These are actually the 2 cooperative banks operating in more than one state are called as Multi-State Cooperative Society Act. The Banking Regulation Act is applicable to the cooperative banks. This is something which you need to keep in mind, as provided in section 56 of that Act with certain modification. The Act was made applicable to cooperative societies by the banking laws, and also the minimum paid up capital and reserve that is required to carry on a cooperative bank is not less than 1 lakh under section 11. And restriction on loans and advances. There are some restrictions as per section 20 of the Banking Regulation Act, and the restrictions are loans and advances against its own shares. It is not allowed. Unsecured loans or advances to any of its directors interest, unsecured loans and advances in which the chairman or the managing agent are interested. So these are some restrictions imposed on the operation of cooperative banks. Licensing is must. Any bank which has to operate a bank needs to take license, and license is governed by section 22 of your Banking Regulation Act. It is equally applicable to your cooperative societies as well. Liquid assets, they also have the obligation to maintain the liquid assets as specified in section 24. The bankers have been specified that they should maintain some portion of their time and demand liabilities as the liquid assets, and this is also applicable to cooperative banks. And the last part of this lesson is with relates to inspection. Section 35 says that the cooperative banks can be inspected at any time, and the DICGC scheme is also applicable to cooperative banks. It is your central guarantee and insurance scheme, which is applicable to equally cooperative banks also. And the balance sheet and profit and loss, as usual, March 31st of every year, 3 copies should be submitted to the RBI, state and national cooperative society to submit such returns to NABARD also. They have an additional obligation to submit it to NABARD. So this 5B is something which I have told you now. 5B is nothing but the general nature of, or the general purpose of each and every bank, accepting for the purpose of lending and also demand drafts, checks and other regular banking activities. Any bank which is established, the main purpose of that bank is regulated under section 5B. This is something which you need to keep in mind. So this is fairly a simple lesson. The most important things that we need to learn here is about your audit and accounts. You should learn that within 3 months the report should be submitted, and the other important thing is with relates to your regional rural banks. This composition is something important: central bank, state government and sponsor bank. And also the audit, the auditors must be appointed with the approval of the central government. This is also equally important in this chapter. And then coming to nationalized bank, again nationalized bank, the composition of your directors is important. This can come as an MCQ question. And apart from that, the another most important thing is that the auditor's report and report of board to be laid before parliament. That is something which is equally important, okay, which is laid before parliament. Next is your paid up capital. Paid up capital is the share value is ₹10. And coming to your cooperative societies, the main important thing is here is that the licensing and liquid assets. And then coming to your audit for the national or the state and national multi-cooperative society to submit the annual returns to NABARD also. That is also equally important. So this is fairly a simple lesson. You just need to remember some points out of it. And that's it for this lesson. Next we will move on to the other lesson, which is more interesting, related to your Negotiable Instruments Act. Thank you for watching my video. Please do subscribe and share, and if you have any doubts in this chapter, you can contact me on the Telegram group. The description is given below. You can always ask any kind of question to me and I'll be happy to answer it. Thank you and stay safe.